Okay, in this problem, this company has estimated options, and they tell us that an appropriate option pricing model says price is $5 per option. Thank God they don't ask us to use one because those option pricing models are ugly. So they just tell us $5. So we're good with that. So let's see, how many options were granted? 45 million. So we have 45 mil times $5, so 225 million. Notice that this is called compensation cost because they have to vest over a period of time. This is not expense yet. This is what we expect the total cost to be if everybody stays and everybody vests, but we don't recognize that as expense yet. So, next thing it asks us to do is it says, let's take a look at the end of the year, of the first year. And let's take care of the compensation expense and the paid-in capital stock options. And remember, this works just like the paid-in capital restricted stock. There's a vesting period, and we're going to recognize this over the 3-year period because they tell us, but not before the 15th, okay? And this is January 1st of the 13th, so that's 3 years. So we're going to take the 225, divide by 3. And each year we're going to recognize 75 million compensation expense related to those options. And we're going to recognize paid-in capital stock options, 75 million. Now, they tell us a couple things over the next couple of years, and it asks us to handle that. So let's do that. First thing it tells us, and I'm going to have some blank paper at the bottom here, so I'm trying to steal as much as I can. We have to fit, they tell us that there's been a forfeiture of 4% of the stock options. Well, if there's been a forfeiture of 4%, that's another way of saying 96% of them are still out there. So let's focus on that 96 that are still there. So, let's take a look at the compensation expense for this year. For the first year, we're going to take the 225, the potential cost, times 96%. And this is for, there's 2 years left, okay? So we're going to be taking the 2 years, 2 of the 3. We're going to do that. And then we're going to take out the 75 that we already recognized. So when we do that, let's take a look here. We have 225 times 0.96 times throw in a bunch of 6's and finally a 7. Minus the 75 that we recognized last year because we want to see how much is left. So this year we're going to pick up 69 million, okay? So that was the original that we had. 96% reflects that 4% of those total people have gone away. And this is we have to see how much we're going to take for this year for the 2/3 altogether. So that's the 2/3 altogether, but we have to subtract out what we took last year so that we only have this period, and that comes to 69 million. So we'll recognize 69 mil. 69 mil. Now this next year we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to do 225 times 0.96 But now we're going to recognize the whole thing because this is the third year, minus what we took out for the first year, minus what we took out for the second year. And when we do that, we come up with 72 million. Okay, so the things that you can stub your toe on here, you have to remember that we're looking at the total compensation expense as of the second year minus the first year. Then we're looking at the total compensation expense for the third year minus the first two. And that's how we're going to recognize the compensation expense for those paid in capital stock options.